Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJAY Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. I really do appreciate your time. Much love to everybody. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I know this is like impromptu, and I apologize. This new format that I'm using, it doesn't really schedule out notifications. So I apologize for that for those that just probably clicked on YouTube and just seen that I was doing the show. But I really do appreciate your time. Hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. And, you know, it's kind of hard to do consistent podcasts, when it comes to NFL, because there's not much going on. I want to do shows like all the time, but I don't want to just do shows just for the simple fact of doing them. Anybody that knows me and knows how I rock, I put a lot of passion into it. And, I don't want to just do things, just to be disingenuous. And I'm not knocking anybody that does it. It's just hard to put together podcasts like on a consistent basis like this. And especially since I have like other projects going on. Shouts out to Bleacher Report. I have a podcast that I do with them every single week. You can check that out tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And I put the link down in the description for all those that want to check it out. I do a weekly episode on Saints Talk on Bleacher Report. So I'm asking for everybody's support, man. I know that it's probably the main reason why a lot of people aren't checking it out, because they don't know anything about it. So I'm just asking everybody, man, please download the Bleacher Report app, hit that link, and follow me on Bleacher Report, man. I'm trying to let them know that, I'm pretty good at what I do, man. And I know that you all are going to support me, man. So please follow me on Bleacher Report. And also check out the Unapologetic podcast that's available. That link is in the description as well. It's a weekly podcast, not sports related, but got some fun stuff that we talk about on that show, man. And if you haven't checked it out, please do so. I put a lot of passion into what I'm doing. So as y'all can see, man, I'm pretty much just impromptuing it right now as people file in. So we can go ahead and talk a little bit about some Saints football. Shouts out to everybody in the My bad. I knocked myself out, man. This sensitive keypad that I got. this sensitive mouse I have, man. I press any button and all of a sudden, like, everything just starts to go away here. But I apologize. But I just want to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Shouts out to Chemo. Shouts out to Saints new owner. One Smoke. Keen Arthur is in here. Shouts out to Paul. Shouts out to Barbara in here. Shouts out to Grid Eye Coats. Shouts out to Daniel. JT got chosen in the building here this evening. Man, shouts out to all y'all, man. So a lot of people, been, them day oneers up in this joint, man. I really do appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some Saints football. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that have been going on. I allowed a couple of days to go by because there's a lot of things that has happened over the last few days that I want to discuss. And the first thing that I want to talk about is something that the fine folks at Bleacher Report put out there that created a Twitter storm that I saw in regard running back Alvin Kamara. Now, if you have not heard, according to Bleacher Report, there was a article that came out that said that the Saints should consider trading Alvin Kamara for a 7th-round pick to the Baltimore Ravens. And first off, I didn't really talk about this on X or any social media platform because, quite frankly, I just thought that was absolutely asinine. Anybody that checked out the last episode of the State of the Saints podcast, you already know how I feel about Alvin Kamara. Some of you have already fell off the Alvin Kamara train. Some of you feel like the man is washed. Some of you have said to me in emails and text messages and all this other stuff that Alvin Kamara isn't the Alvin Kamara that he used to be. And I am on the defense for Alvin Kamara because I really feel that Alvin Kamara's lack of production or lack of spunk over the last few seasons is because the Saints offense has been trash. I mean, why is it that we can talk about the Saints offense being trash and not concede to the fact that that may have affected the way that Alvin Kamara has been used? And maybe that is the reason why his production has dropped. I feel strongly about the new additions to the New Orleans Saints when it comes to Clint Kubiak, and Derek Foster and Andrew Janoko, all these different coaches that the Saints have added to the offensive side of football. And I also feel like the Saints are going to use their 1st-round pick to get a left tackle like Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. So I feel like with those type of combinations, with the coaches that they're bringing in, right, the knowledge that is going to be instilled on the offensive side of the football, I feel like Alvin Kamara is going to benefit from that. I feel like Pete Carmichael has not done Alvin Kamara any favors. And because of that, a lot of people feel like Alvin Kamara is washed. And you also have a combination of people that don't follow Saints football who have a strong following. And because they put something out there about Alvin Kamara and saying that he's worth a 7th-round pick, some people would feel like, oh, Alvin Kamara must be garbage or he's not as good as he used to be. See, you got to be careful with those individuals that don't follow the team. You know, those individuals that's always talking about the Saints being in cap hell, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Every single year, the Saints in cap hell, the Saints are going to fall off a cliff. Look, we all know what it's about. And once again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm very careful about some of the people that I see talking about Saints football. It's almost like, a person that's not a member of the family telling you how to run your family or what's wrong with your family. Like, you're not there. You're not involved with the family. You can't tell me, what my sister or what my brother feels or how I feel about them because you're not involved. So basically, you're on the outside looking in. Right. This is like, I don't know, a person that was, a person that just observing something and they coming up with these assumptions. And I get it. This is a slow time of the year. Not much news is coming around. You got the combine coming in a couple of weeks. But all in all, people are just trying to find things to talk about, trying to find issues, trying to find problems. But we all know how the Saints been rocking. The Saints have been, living on the edge of a razor blade and possibly landing in an alcohol river for I don't know how long. But they always seem to find the right pieces to go in place. But I feel like it's just absolutely ridiculous that anybody would even think that Alvin Kamara is just worth the 7th-round pick. Alvin Kamara, to me, will be one of the best offensive players in the entire NFL in 2024. I feel that strongly about him because I often say, and I'm going to continue to say it, Alvin Kamara is one of those individuals. You have to keep him motivated. He's like one of those, he's like almost like a kid, like you got to keep your kid focused. I'll use my son, for example. Paxton, he's 4 years old, and you got to keep him focused, man, because like if he's looking down at his tablet, right, and I'm trying to ask him a question, if something's on that's catching his attention, I got to, hey, I got to snap them fingers. To get his attention. Like, okay, listen to me. Listen to what daddy is trying to tell you. So I feel like Alvin Kamara is kind of that way. Like you got to keep him involved. And that's something that Sean Payton continuously did for Alvin because he understood that Alvin's, can kind of waver a little bit. And I also feel like it's just human nature to know that if what an offensive coordinator or person is not calling and it is not working, like you got to be an absolute idiot to go out there and just feel the same way. Like, man, I'm gonna punch you that hole this time, knowing that the offensive line isn't giving you the protection and blocking the way that they should. Some of the plays that are being called, or some of the plays that don't really cater to your strengths. I just feel like it was an uphill battle for Alvin Kamara, and with that, it just kind of comes to a point where somebody is mostly focused on self-preservation more so than anything else. Like, why would I go out here possibly get hurt when I know this play ain't gonna work, and jeopardize my future? I mean, that just call a spade here. We all know that Alvin Kamara is much better than what he has shown over the last couple of years. And we also have seen some of the lack of offensive innovations that have taken place that made Alvin Kamara special not take place in the last couple of seasons. So hopefully Clint Kubiak can come in here, and I call it hashtag kitchen duty, right? I call it hashtag kitchen duty because, when you're in the kitchen, what you doing? You're cooking something up, right? You're in the lab. So I think that when he looks at some of the old footage, the film that they had on Alvin Kamara, during the time when he first got to the Saints, first 3-4 years, he'll probably look at some of that and be like, what the hell was Pete Carmichael doing over the last 2 seasons? There's nothing wrong with this guy. You got to give him the opportunity to get the ball in space. I mean, the lack of screen game has died a slow death over the last couple of years. So I'm just saying, like, anybody that thinks that Alvin Kamara is washed, I don't think I can talk football with you. I really don't. I really don't want to talk football with you. And I get it, man. This is one of those things where, we love you on first down, hate you on second down, you're our friend on third down, get that bum off the field on fourth down. But we have to understand that every single week over the last 2 seasons, we have done podcasts, right? We've done hundreds of podcasts here on the State of the Saints podcast talking about how the Saints are not a good football team under Dennis Allen. We talked about this, and I just feel like it's hypocrisy for you to say and concede that you feel like something is wrong with the team due to the lack of leadership under their head coach, but can't concede to the fact that maybe the players are being affected by that lack of leadership. So I'm just saying, how about give Alvin Kamara an opportunity under a new coaching staff, under a new coordinator, and see. And if things tend to be the same way, then maybe I can see that he fell off. But I don't feel like he fell off. We better be careful because the same people that felt like Christian McCaffrey fell off when he was in Carolina are licking their wounds right now and crying in a pillow because he had a rebirth in San Francisco. So I'm just saying, for all those that just think that the man washed and trying to consider trades, man, just pump your brakes. I feel like what Alvin Kamara can bring to the table will make the New Orleans Saints even more effective in 2024 offensively. Because it looks to me like the Saints are going to be more run dependent than passing the football, which I have no problem with. You got 3 really good running backs, right? You got power back in Jamal Williams, which I don't feel like the Saints were utilizing him effectively. We seen Kendre Miller in the final game of the season and also little spurts of him in between the season. You also have Taysom Hill out there as more of a linchpin, and you have Alvin Kamara. So the Saints can be effective running the football, but I feel like in order for them to do so, they're going to need Alvin Kamara to be at his best. And you're also going to need this offensive line to get much better. So I think with that combination of Clint Kubiak coming in, them paying attention to the offensive line, maybe getting a little bit more athletic and getting a little bit more of the teaching going on there, I think that the New Orleans Saints offense can be effective, and Alvin Kamara can be the main ingredient for the Saints to be able to get that resurgence of what we have saw over the last 15 seasons. That's just my opinion. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and then we'll go into some more, more topics that we have on the agenda on this episode. Let me go ahead and go with Keen Arthur. Keen Arthur says, hit that like button and subscribe to the SOTS on your way in. Keen Arthur, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. Say, yo, TJ, you should do a mock draft. Yeah, I'll do a mock draft. I'll do a mock draft smoke after the combine. I won't be going to the combine this year, man. I won't be going. I got some things I got coming up, and it's kind of, man, it's it's going to be kind of rough, like going there and then, and everything else I got coming up. So Won't be at the combine this year, but it's all good, man. I'll make sure that I do a mock draft, and and I guess after the combine, like after I sit and see like some of the things that are going on, watch some of the combine on television, I come through with a mock draft because we know that things tend to change. When it comes to the combine, guys, they put on a really good showing. They improve their draft stock. But to me, as far as the first round, that's one I will give you. I strongly feel the Saints are going to go offensive line in the first round. I do. I don't think they're going to get a quarterback. I know that's what everyone wants, but I just think that they're going to get an offensive lineman, probably Tyler Guyton. That's the person that's the player that I'm looking at. But I'll make sure that I do a mock draft after the combine for you, man. But I appreciate that. Said draft guesses. Really have no draft guesses as of right now, man. To be honest with you, like I said, the only one I can just, put my finger on is the first round. Like, why wouldn't you, address the left tackle position, right? And we all know that the New Orleans Saints, since he was signed, they've catered to Derek Carr. Everything that Derek Carr wants, they're giving it to him. Like, that's why they was out here trying to do everything they can to get Hunter Renfrow. That's the reason why you had guys like Brandon Edwards and stuff like that coming in. Like it's because he wanted guys to that make him feel comfortable. Even Foster Moreau, right? Even though he's an LSU guy, most of it was because of Derek Carr, right? Some of the issues and feelings that the Saints players had because they felt like the team was catering too much to Derek Carr. So why wouldn't they just go and continue to be on brand here and draft something that can help Derek Carr, which is a left tackle? Well, it won't just help Derek Carr. It'll help the whole damn team offensively, which they need. They need a left tackle. They don't need to keep on plugging and playing offensive linemen. They have not had stability at that position since Teron Armstead left. And it's about that time. All right, you drafted Trevor Penning. It's not working out. Slide this dude on inside the guard like I've been saying for the last couple seasons, and people talking about I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about. How you like me now? That's all I got to say. There's a few things that I may not know, but I know football, right? I may not know all the nuances like these coaches do, but damn, I know football. It's amazing to me how I just did a show a couple episodes ago talking about the Saints. I can really see the Saints getting Tyler Guyton, and now Phil Yates, one of the most respected scouts out there, has the Saints drafting Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Oh my goodness, what am I doing here? But anyway, slide Trevor Penning onto the inside. Get a guy like Tyler Guyton. That's a guy that I feel like can be the next Trent Williams. Get him, and you'll be straight. Get your running game straight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, kick him out, make him do some exotic stuff, just like they do with Trent Williams, and watch the Saints eat. Plain and simple. That's the only draft pick that I have a guess for, right, as of right now. But I really feel like you need to address the offensive line position, and they're going to do that because it helps Derek Carr more so than anything else. Somebody said, bad connection. Nah, I think I hit the wrong button. Yeah, that's what it was. This keypad that I'm using on my Mac is extremely sensitive, man. So that's probably what it was. So let me just see. What's good, brother? Chemo says Kai, giving a shout out to Chemo. I'm gonna stroll down a little bit more. Says JB, what is up? With your cursing, I don't know who cursing on here. Please keep the language as PG as possible. Left tackle first round, right tackle second round. I don't know about that. I don't know if they're just gonna go crazy on the left and right. And plus, on top of that, I mean, you don't know the status of Ryan Ramczyk as of yet. So I'm pretty sure since we haven't heard anything, he's not going to retire. So that's a good thing. I look at Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, he has some knee issues, and that stuff don't get better. But I think the further we get along, the more there's a chance that he'll probably give it the old college try again. I think when guys, are in the season and they're dealing with these aches and pains, but they get opportunity to be able to rehab for months, they start to feel a little better. And maybe those decisions and contemplating retirement probably just go into the back of their minds. I mean, the most important thing is the health and well-being of Ryan Ramczyk. Like, if he wants to continue to play and he feels like he can, please do. But if it's going to jeopardize your future, I know he has a child and a wife. You know, you don't want to jeopardize that. You want to be able to run around with your kids and be able to, like, you know, spend time with them and stuff, you know. So, you know, if that's, you know, something that's going to hurt him in the future, I think that, you know, he may need to reconsider. But if he's, you know, still feels like he has something to offer and the doctor says okay and he's okay with it, I say continue to do it. But as of right now, I don't hear anything about Ryan Ramczyk, so why go right tackle in the second round? Let's see who that baby. What's going on? Appreciate you for being here. Says, could trade step towards into changing cap maybe? I don't know, man. We'll talk about the cap a little bit later. Says, Akimo, I am 19 years old. I will be 20 years old, says Chase. Well, man, you young. You're a baby up in here. Christian McCaffrey career was restarted in San Francisco. Alvin should be rejuvenated. Yeah, I mean, look, you can be rejuvenated when you have a coaching staff that can, you know, make things happen for you. Like that, like we need to understand, like when you have a really good coach and coaching staff, like it helps a team. You know, like, I know we think these players are just larger than life, and no matter what the situation is, they should be able to rise above it. And some players can, but you also have to look at the fact that these guys, and I'm talking coaches, they're supposed to call plays and put players in the best position to succeed. And if they're not calling the right stuff, or the stuff is like super conservative and, you know, they're not thinking outside the box, a lot of the players that you feel very strongly about that are supposed to be on a Hall of Fame trajectory, or they supposed to be all pros, their production can slip. So we all know that Pete Carmichael wasn't very good as a coordinator. Some weeks he'll look like he knows what he's doing, but just think about this. The most impressive thing that you've seen. Well, I'll leave you out of this. I don't want to put words or feelings in your mind or in your mouth, right? The most impressive thing that I seen was when he decided to put Colin Sanders on a goal line situation. Can anybody tell me anything other than that? That was the talk of Saints fans and reporters everywhere. Like nobody would, like who went out here and said, man, you know, Sneaky Pete cooking it up with that triple reverse, man, Sneaky Pete putting it up with the halfback toss. None of that. The most impressive thing that I saw Pete Carmichael do was when Colin Sanders, a defensive tackle, came in as a lead blocker for Taysom Hill on a running play. Like, come on, man. And we're supposed to sit up here and believe wholeheartedly that Alvin Kamara is no longer the Alvin Kamara that he once was. But that's the best thing that you have cooking up. Somebody please tell me, when the last time you seen a screen pass from the New Orleans Saints? When the last time you really seen an angle route ran by a running back from the New Orleans Saints? When the last time you seen a wheel route ran? Like, y'all, you used to see, like, when Darren Sproles used to come out there on that wheel route, Reggie Bush, Alvin Kamara used to be on that wheel route. You'll see them going around the right sidelines all the time, right? Getting in front and getting behind the linebackers. I mean, how many times we seen it? We seen like that play when the Saints beat the brakes off the Philadelphia Eagles when they put the dagger inside of them. That was a wheel route from Alvin Kamara. So all of these different innovative things that have happened over the years have died a slow death over the last 2 seasons. So why are we sitting up here having these barbershop talks about Alvin Kamara being washed? Like if you peel it all back, right, and you just basically put this thing under a microscope, you'll see that the reason why you have an issue with Alvin Kamara is not him. It's the play calling. Like, go back and take a look. When the last time y'all seen any of these things take place consistently? That's all I'm asking. If we seen these things consistently that I'm referring to, I can concede that Alvin Kamara may not be what he used to be. But when I don't see those things anymore, like, and the thing, you take away the things that made him special, how can you sit up here and say the guy is washed? Like, he can go out there and run a wheel route, but if the play isn't designed for him to run one, how can we sit up here and just say that the guy's washed? Like, come on, man. We got to keep it a buck here. So I can't say that the guy's washed. I can't say that the guy isn't what he used to be, because the Saints play calling ain't what it used to be. The innovation ain't what it used to be. That's all. That's my whole point. I think Trevor Penny should be left guard. I think so too, and I've been saying it. I've been saying that Trevor Penny should have been a guard. I said this. And I heard measurables and arm length and size and all this other stuff. Like when I was talking about Pete Skoronski, the first round draft pick for the Tennessee Titans, people were talking about his arm length and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, man. The guy's a guard. The guy, everything about him is a guard. You can talk about his athleticism. You can talk about all the tape and all that kind of stuff going on. The guy is a freaking guard. And I'm not saying that he's going to be Quentin Nelson or anything like that or Lane Johnson, but I will say that this dude is going to be solid as a guard. You'll get some solid play. At least you'll get some type of return on the investment, right? I mean, it's almost like, maybe you thought that this Porsche was going to have a little bit more horsepower than it did, but at the same time, it's still fast and it's still sexy. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's not what you wanted. But hey, I drive it. I mean, that's Trevor Penny. That's what I feel about him. They need to establish a running game, otherwise the Niners' offense won't work. Well, I don't know if they're going to be running the offense of the 49ers fully, but yeah, you definitely got to establish the running game. And even if they didn't have Clint Kubiak, who is a Kyle Shanahan type guy, right? A Kyle Shanahan disciple, so to speak, I still feel like they need to run the football. They still need to run the football. And I feel like that's what they're going to put emphasis on. Like, to me, asking Derek Carr to win you football games, game in and game out, is just wishful thinking. He's not that type of quarterback. He's just not. Can Derek Carr put the ball where it needs to be? Yes. Can he, dink and dunk it to death, or maybe throw a pass down the field, sometimes that be like, man, that was a good pass? Absolutely. But you cannot look at him like he's Drew Brees. And that was the mistake that the New Orleans Saints made. And this is the problem that I have with this coaching staff. To me, this coaching staff wants a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there. That's why I feel like they went out and got Derek Carr, because they felt like, oh, he's been in the league this long, and he's been with the Raiders. The Raiders are a train wreck of an organization. He comes to us. He knows what he's doing. Let's just put some pieces around him. But the Saints realized very, very early, and Saints fans alike, is that this dude cannot carry a football team. I know I did. I don't care what these clowns talking about, all these Raider disciples and all this stuff they talking about. This dude cannot consistently carry a football team. You can talk the talk, you can act, you can walk the walk if you want to, but everybody tell you that you ain't walking like you talking. Like, he is not that type of guy. Can there be a Sunday where he throws for 300 yards and he looks like one of the best players on the field? Hell, so can Ryan Tannehill. So can Brock Purdy. So can, I don't know, Jared Goff. So can Kirk Cousins. You got quarterbacks out here that aren't going to win you consistently, because of them. You got scenarios like that all over. Yes, there can be games like this. And there's going to be games where you have those Derek Carr supporters that's going to be in the chat, going to be on social media saying, see, I told you it's 26 or 28, 300. And then the next week, crickets. So you cannot just solely rely on this dude to carry your football team. You got to get yourself a running game. Get him involved, but not as fully involved, right? Because you're not winning every single game because of him. Like, there's levels to greatness. There's levels to being elite. No matter what you put on the field, they got some guys that can make it work. They can cook it up. We seen it with Patrick Mahomes. Like, Patrick Mahomes, wide receiver core, at best, C+, C- on occasion, right? But he was able to make it work with what he had. So did Drew Brees. That's why he was able to get guys like, Andy Tanner keep on running back and forth, right? You know what I'm saying? And Willie Snead and all these other guys that, not going to be number one guys on anybody's team. That's when you have a great quarterback. You need great players, and you need a really good running game around Derek Carr. When you do that, then I feel like you're going to be a good football team. The Saints learn very quickly that Derek Carr is solid, but you're not going to win many games because of it. They may not want to admit that because we all know that the New Orleans Saints, that's just the way they roll. They try to, they do a little bit of some Jedi mind tricking. At least they, on some people. Like, I have to say some people, because when you say something critical about this organization, you got people always coming out here trying to defend them. But look, I'm all for defending the New Orleans Saints. I have nothing against them, of course. My hometown team, my favorite team in the NFL. But I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it. Like, they have had a bad run of this when it comes to some of these decisions they made as of late. And one thing I always say, like, if you love somebody, you should be able to tell them how you feel, right? And it's not coming from a place of malice or malcontent. Like, I'm coming from a place, I'm coming from a genuine place. And I just feel like anybody that's out here just defending his team after some of the things we saw, like, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, you don't get any stripes for telling somebody that they're wrong. Like, you're basically being an enabler. So I'm not trying to be an enabler. When it's worth celebrating, I'm going to say it. But as of right now, Derek Carr is not moving the needle consistently week after week. I don't care what you put behind him. I don't care if you get Tyler Guyton. I don't care if you get Quentin Nelson. I don't care if you put Lane Johnson. I don't care. Jason, look, you can put the best offensive line together. You can get protection, but I still don't feel like he's going to be able to win you game in, game out. I just don't. So you better support him with a really good running game. You already saw it. You already saw what you needed to see. So let's put this running game behind him and let's see what he can do. Like, from 25 to 30 passes to 20 to 25, I think that can work. Running the football a little bit more, I think that it can work. What y'all think? I have a good feeling about our new OC. What do you think, TJ? Think they'll eventually fire DA and move him to head coach? And do you think they will get rid of Taysom Hill? Those are all good questions. What I think about Clint Kubiak, it remains to be seen. I like the step in the right direction. I like he checks all the boxes of what the modern day NFL is about. He's young. I'm pretty sure he's going to come in with fresh ideas. He comes from a Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, which Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree has really been shown. We've seen that his coaching tree is really impressive. We see what Mike McDaniel is doing out there. We've seen what Kevin O'Connell is doing out there in Minnesota. So, I mean, we see some really good pieces around Kyle Shanahan, and we've seen like what his coaching staff looks like as head coaches, and they're doing a really good job. So I think that he'll be able to bring something different to the organization. And, I hear some people talking about, well, Kyle Shanahan was extremely instrumental in calling the plays, and he had his hands on both sides of the football, which if he had his hand on both sides of the football, why the hell is Steve Wilkes fired? I have absolutely no idea. That should completely indict Kyle Shanahan, but that's neither here nor there. But Kyle Shanahan is more of a teacher, right? So it's almost like going to Harvard for offensive play calling. So those guys had opportunity to sit back without really having to call too much. You were able to see him in real time, be able to put the thing together. And if you've been doing your homework, you can come out of Harvard with a nice little law degree and be one of the best lawyers in the entire country, right? All you got to do is just sit back and watch the master do his thing. Kyle Shanahan allowed these guys, he gave them responsibilities, but we all know that, he was doing most of, the cooking in the kitchen here. So those guys got opportunity to take notes on a notepad, and see how he was cooking things up. And maybe that will help them be a little bit more effective offensively, in which we have seen when I talk about like guys like Kevin O'Connell and Mike McDaniel. So that's helpful. So I think what he can bring to the table is attention to detail. I think that, some of the things that in practices that he saw from Kyle Shanahan can be beneficial to this football team. Hopefully I'm right. But as far as your other question, will they eventually fire DA? I don't know. All I know is I want to see the Saints win, right? I'm not coming into 2024 saying I want Dennis Allen to be fired. Like, it is what it is, folks. 2024 is a brand new season. He has yet to coach a football game. And if you're going into 2024 hoping that the bottom falls out of your favorite team, you're looking at this the wrong way. Now, If it's around week 6 and week 7, y'all know how I roll, right? And if the Saints looking like slaw, I will be pounding that drum that he needs to be fired. And there shouldn't be any more excuses as to why Dennis Allen is still a head coach of the football team. We seen last year that he put a defensive coaching staff together. This year, he put an offensive coaching staff together. If the Saints cannot make it to the postseason, if the Saints are not in playoff contention, if they are not in contention to win the South, this dude needs to be fired because you're basically prolonging the inevitable. You're stopping yourself from getting somebody in here that can actually make a difference. So there's no excuse. Like, this dude has to get it done. But I'm not going into 2024 saying fire Dennis Allen, right? I mean, it's pointless. He's not going to get fired. Like, it's not like, Mickey Loomis going to wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what, Dennis, you fired. He's the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And if you want the New Orleans Saints to win, you're kind of rooting for Dennis Allen here. You can say I'm rooting for the Saints, not Dennis Allen. Fine. But every time the Saints win a football game, that's a testament to Dennis Allen as a head coach. And I think everybody wants to see the Saints win double-digit games because it's been a long damn time since we've seen this. So I'm rooting for the dude. But around week 6, week 7, if he's looking like slow, y'all know how I'm doing it. But I'm not going to just sit up here and just say, oh, man, fire Dennis Allen. He needs to be fired, all that kind of stuff. I think I think I'm pretty much on record about how I feel about the dude, but it's a brand new season. I want this team to win. So they hitched their wagon to him. So I have no choice but to wish him good luck this season because I want to see the Saints in the playoffs. TJ, that pick with the headset and record is dope, homie. Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's actually a gift from my wife, man. Shouts out to my wife. She came in here and gave it to me as a gift, man. And hey, that's first priority right there. Like my wife, anytime like she does something like that, man, it's just amazing, man. I almost shed a tear, man, because of my wife is like really extremely supportive of me, man. And that just shows right there. And I just think it's a dope picture. So I had to change some things around a little bit. But shouts out to my wife, man, Brent, giving me this beautiful picture right here. Let's see, TJ, what big name can you be a target in free agency for D-line that we can go after? Well, to me, I would say Danielle Hunter. I think Danielle Hunter could be a really good target for the New Orleans Saints. He's had a really, big season. He had double-digit sacks from Minnesota. I don't know if they're going to pay him or not. So I would say Danielle Hunter would be top on my list. Leonard Williams would be another guy that I would keep my eye on, as a pass rush. I talked about a scenario on Bleacher Report, and once again, the link is in the description for you all to follow on Bleacher Report. I do a weekly podcast on Bleacher Report. I talked a little bit about that and maybe possibly a trade scenario that involved Khalil Mack. So, I mean, you can do some things, if you're the New Orleans Saints, but I would say Danielle Hunter would probably be a top guy. Says TJ, with this potential new offense, so you see Taysom Hill role increasing or decreasing? To me, honestly, I would see his role increasing. I mean, because you do have a little bit of if we're talking San Francisco, you got a little bit of a Deebo Samuel type dynamic with Taysom Hill. And I also can see if the New Orleans Saints wanted to, they can actually use him like how the 49ers use George Kittle. So I can see his production increasing. I really can. Like, I can see his production increasing in the Saints uniform. I don't feel like he's just going to be over there on the sidelines. I think that you're probably going to see a little bit more than what you've seen over the last couple of seasons from Taysom Hill. So, yeah, I can see his role basically him doing the same stuff or maybe adding a little bit more since he's about 3 seasons into being a tight end. Tackle, linebacker, edge, no order, but all very much needed. Look, I think you can look on all sides of the football and almost at every position and say that if the Saints were to draft that, you couldn't get mad at it. Left tackle, I wouldn't be mad at it. If they drafted a running back, I wouldn't be mad at it. If they drafted a quarterback, we definitely wouldn't be mad at it. A safety, wouldn't be mad at it. Linebacker, like you said, wouldn't be mad at it. Pass rush. So any angle that the Saints go, I think we should be okay with it. I don't think anybody is going to be upset or mad unless, you got Dallas Turner sitting there and they draft some dude from Portland State that you never even heard of. Outside of that, I think that any angle the Saints go, I think we should be okay with it because they need help on both sides of the football. And honestly, some of the holes that they have are imperative for them to kind of plug up here. So any direction they go in, I wouldn't be mad. If the Saints trade Lattimore, I hope they don't. But if so, what would be the best package the Saints would get in return? I would say probably a late first or a second round pick from a team. That's the way I look at it. Now, I would say maybe not. I'm saying a late first round pick because for the last couple of seasons he has missed substantial amount of games. So I think that teams would take that into consideration. Second round pick, definitely. That's probably the best case scenario here. What you have in a cornerback in Marshawn Lattimore is a guy that can lock down any side of the field, and he can go up against any cornerback or any wide receiver, because he's a true shutdown corner. So I would say like a second round pick, late first round pick for a guy like Lattimore. So the Saints should get a really good draft pick if they were to trade Marshawn Lattimore. But in my opinion, I feel like that would be a huge mistake to trade Marshawn Lattimore. You already know how I feel about him. Derek Carr is why training camp moved to Cali. I don't care what the Saints say. Well, Barbara, look, I don't know. I've been hearing they was doing some renovations out there in the dome. I mean, over there in New Orleans, out there at the practice facility. So I feel like, that's probably why they wanted to make that move. And honestly, I don't feel like it hurt. Like, I want people to understand this. Like, practicing in 100% humidity, 100-degree day, like, that's not going to benefit the Saints. Like, what is that teaching? You got to think about this. If the Saints are practicing in 70-degree weather, right, with no humidity, and it's out there, like, there's no issues that's plaguing them to be able to have a full practice, like, it's not going to hurt them at all because the Saints going to play at least 9 dome games a season. 9. You got to think about it. They got 8 home games, plus they play the Falcons. And if they end up playing a team in the AFC or the NFC that plays in the dome, that's another dome game. So for the most part, the Saints play in controlled conditions. So playing out there in the heat, that's not going to, what's that going to make you tougher, rougher? I don't know. That would probably be something if you were actually playing in Miami or playing in Tampa in September or August or something, like that would benefit. But the dome is 70 degrees, no wind. It's a closed, it's a closed dome. So, I mean, I don't see a big deal. I really don't. I don't feel like that's going to build any type of more character, going to make a guy more rougher, more tougher. I just don't. I really do not feel that way because they play in those type of conditions at least 9 times a season. I don't think people understand that. Like, people like, man, they got too comfortable. Oh, were they out there in West Virginia that time? Like, that didn't have anything to do, in my opinion, with the team. It didn't. Because they playing in a controlled environment. Basically similar to what they are playing in California and what they played in at the Greenbrier. Let's see, practice then, rather. I want us to make the playoffs again, so I'm hoping we can do that in spite of DA. Yeah, I mean, look, I just look at Dennis Allen for what he is. Right? I don't think that he's a good head coach. I think that he's a damn good coordinator. Like, the dude, like, he's like Steve Spagnuolo. Like, Steve Spagnuolo, head coach, no, sir. Right? Defensive coordinator, yeah, he can coach my defense. That's Dennis Allen. You got to put things around Dennis Allen to make him look good. Just like you got to put things around Derek Carr, in my opinion, to make him look good. That's you got 2 guys that they are trying to convince us that are the part, but we know that they need some strong characters around them. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, right? I like Seinfeld. Like I grew up watching Seinfeld, and when the concept of Seinfeld, the show came out, you had Jerry Seinfeld, who was a comedian, but wasn't a very strong actor, right? So that's why they put Michael Richards, who played Kramer, and Jason Alexander, who played George, and Julie Louis-Dreyfus, who played Elaine. That's why they put those strong characters around him, ones that were like, classically trained, right? To make Jerry, you know what I'm saying? Like basically they put him as the focal point, but to kind of cover up some of the things that he lacked, they put a real strong cast around him. That's Dennis Allen and that's Derek Carr, right? You got to put George, Elaine, and Kramer around this thing, man. So whatever that may be, wherever it is, right? You got to be able to do that. And by bringing in guys like Clint Kubiak, who studied under Kyle Shanahan, getting coaches with the reputation of making their side of the football, their positions better, being more of a teacher more so than, leaving these players to their own vices, so to speak. They're getting teachers. So they're taking a step in the right direction. You got to put a supporting cast around. You got to put a running game around Derek Carr. You got to get a strong offensive line so he won't get happy feet. And like I said, when things start to get rough, you can hand that ball off to Jamal Williams. You can hand that ball off to Kendre Miller. You can hand the ball off to Alvin Kamara. Put a supporting cast around him, and you'll be on for 9 seasons, right? And they'll be begging you. They'll be begging you to stay, giving you $5 million an episode. TJ, wouldn't promoting building up a smaller market team be great in the long run? Why does it seem the NFL is content with only a handful of teams being cash cows? Probably because of the quarterback play, probably because of the coaches, and probably because of the consistency of the coach and quarterback. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's like this, King Arthur, right? Let's just say, for example, you own a restaurant, right? And your restaurant is known for some really good ribs, right? You smoking things all night long. And everybody just come up in that thing. Then all of a sudden, you like, man, I'm not going to make ribs my top priority no more. I'm going to make fried pork chops my priority. And people going to start looking like, man, hey, wait a minute, man. Like, this all right, but it ain't them ribs, though. Like that's the way that the NFL works. When you know that Andy Reid, who has, like, no matter what the team he's been on, the team has been a contender. When he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, 5 NFC championships at a Super Bowl appearance. Didn't win nothing, but he still was in that thing, right? So it was safe to put the Philadelphia Eagles on television, right? Because they were going to win double-digit games, probably weren't going to win that bowl, but it also gives you enough of, hope for a fan base and more entertainment for people to feel like maybe this is the Eagles' year. When you look at Andy Reid now, you have a sure thing with him as a coach and Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback. It's that simple. Like, Patrick Mahomes is that dude. Whether we want to admit it or not, when you start getting tired of guys and it has absolutely nothing to do with them personally, but the simple fact that they win a lot, like, they are that dude. Like, that's the biggest issue people had with Brady. He won a lot. If Brady just won like half the time, like, you could talk about like some of the deflate gate and all that kind of stuff, but it wouldn't be as amplified, and people wouldn't just be sitting up there laughing at his misfortune. They wouldn't. So people don't like winning. That's what it is. People want to see you win, but not win consistently like that. Like, I wish you well, but I ain't trying to wish you better than me. So the whole point of this is, when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes that is more than likely going to be in contention for a playoff AFC West championship every single year, and Andy Reid, who is a really great coach, like, why not put them at the forefront? If you notice, King Arthur, like the last couple of years, when you start to have guys like Eli and Peyton and Phillip Rivers, and all these guys started to kind of fade to black and retire, that's when you start seeing Sean Payton, Drew Brees. Like, that's when you start seeing more primetime games for the Saints. It's because they knew for a fact that Sean Payton is a really good coach and Drew Brees is an elite Hall of Fame quarterback, and people want to see that. So, of course, they're going to push these great quarterbacks to the forefront. Of course, you're going to see a lot of primetime games that involve Joe Burrow, You're going to see more primetime games with Justin Herbert now that Jim Harbaugh is there. You're going to see that because those are the guys that the NFL is trying to elevate because they know with the combination of the way that the quarterback plays and wins and a coach that is known for winning, when you put them together, that's money, right? It's very rare that the NFL kind of makes mistakes when it comes to promoting these primetime games. Now you can say the Jets, but that's just because Aaron Rodgers got hurt in the first game of the season towards Achilles. So, that's what they always gonna do. Like when you have something that you're known for, or it's your main dish, of course you're gonna elevate that. You're gonna put that on signs. You're gonna put that on billboards. You're gonna have that. You're gonna open up those vents and offer the barbecue to just going through the air so people can remember. Hey man, yeah, that's right, man. Keno at the restaurant open right now. It is what it is, man. Success, that's what it's about. When you continue success. The fan of the State of Saints podcast is here, baby. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Josh, man? Appreciate you for being here. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, man. Thank you for the $2 donation. Thank y'all for all those that are donating, all those that are commenting right now. Hey, TJ, maybe Taylor Swift should break up with Travis and date someone on the Saints. We might actually go to the Super Bowl. LOL. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if that's the case or not. I do think that they definitely love the fact that they are in a relationship. I hope, I really hope that, the NFL isn't, to a point where they feel like they got to call Travis Kelce into a room and be like, hey, man, I know, this may seem like a little bit of a tall ask, but can you date Taylor Swift just a little bit longer? Like, I don't think that. Like, I think that they kind of pushed the issue because of the mainstream appeal and who it was. But look, we know that the Chiefs were pretty damn good this entire season. Like, if you watch the Chiefs, yeah, they had they didn't look like the Chiefs of old, but that was because they wide receivers were trash. Like, I'm just calling for what it is. Well, I don't want to call them trash. They were just average. There we go. They were just average. And a lot of what the issues that they had was because the wide receivers were average. But that defense always looked good. Like, so anybody that's out here, man, I mean, how they was able to neutralize Lamar, how they was able to shut them, nah, bro, that defense was legit all season long. And honestly, that defense was the best part of that team this season if you watched enough Kansas City Chiefs football. And, I just think that it kind of just fell into place. And, I think that that's probably the reason why, people just looking at this like this is just this conspiracy theory. I don't know, man. All I know is the moment anybody finds anything out about the NFL is predetermined-ish is the moment people stop caring about football. That to me, I don't think people ever look at football the same. Gambling will probably cease because you basically are betting on something that isn't authentic and genuine. Like they literally can be like, okay, if the Chiefs are playing the Baltimore Ravens and the majority of the people, most of the money is going towards a certain team, they can be like, okay, we need that team to lose. Okay, so the moment you start to anybody breaks open that can of worms and expose the NFL and it comes out to be legit is the moment football dies. So I'm just saying. They're going to have to keep that under wraps. How much for some ribs? No, just one rib. You got change for 100? By Chris Rock. How about a rib? One rib. Let's see. Yes, Slim. I was beefing about that. Says, nah, I'm hungry. Hey, that just means I'm good at the illustrations and analogies. Boy, I saw Buku holding plays that was not called. I don't know. Look, I will say this, man. In a postseason, we also have to understand that they let them play, right? And honestly, man, we seen Bill Vinovich on that bull-ish. We seen it. Like at the beginning of the game, it's almost like he was about to call a classic Bill Vinovich game where flags just all over the place. Flag here, flag there, flag everywhere. And then somebody just probably say, "Hold up, Bill, dog. Hey, bro, this ain't Detroit against Cleveland. All right, this is a Super Bowl, man. You got to let these boys play." Because at the beginning of the game, you start to see flags back to back to back the bag. It's like somebody called Bill Vinovich and said, you know what, bro? Hey, man, you got to kill it with these flags. Let these dudes play. Because you ain't really see too many flags like in the second half. Like, and probably from the late in the second quarter to the end of the game, they let them play. And I'm just glad that they did, because we all know how Vinovich roll. We know he gonna throw a flag. This man live and die by the flag. So it was like somebody called down and said, nah, let him play. So that's probably the main reason why you've seen a lot of holding. They just they was like, hey, let the best man win. Taylor Swift is making the NFL money. Yeah. If it's making him money, it gonna roll with it. So TJ, can we give my boy Debo a Bayou Baller trophy for a breakout season? Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, Paulson and Debo, to me, man, that didn't surprise me at all. Like, seriously, like, I always thought this dude was good. I knew what was going on with his ankle and stuff like that from things that I heard. And I knew that it was just a matter of time before, everybody just see how special this guy is. So, I mean, he definitely deserves that. I often said that the Saints drafting Paulson Debo in the third round. He was a first round talent. A lot of what happened with Paulson was because he set out during the COVID year, so his draft stock kind of went down a little bit, and but he always had that first round talent, and I think that he has something that he can build on, and because of his production, it makes the Saints look at Marshawn Lattimore, in a different light. Even though I don't feel like that's the right thing to do, Paulson Debo is the reason why they even would consider trading Marshawn Lattimore, because of his production. But he definitely deserves all the credit in the world for having a spectacular season. Don't matter what round, is about who's available at the time you draft him. Also, Hurts wasn't a top 3 in the draft, which I gotta say this though. I know this don't have anything, and Dana, just because you brought this up, I know this don't have anything to do with the Saints, but y'all know I love football, man. The fact that they had a report that came out about Jalen Hurts saying that the guy is one of the most overrated players in the entire National Football League. Now, let's go ahead and put this thing into perspective. All right. Jalen Hurts came into the league with very little fanfare. I can remember him being at the Senior Bowl. I can remember him getting drafted. Nobody believed that this guy was going to be good at playing the quarterback position. Everybody just thought that this dude was just going to hold a clipboard mostly throughout his career and maybe come in late, provide a spark, right? He got drafted in the second round in the NFL draft, the second round. So if you're a quarterback being drafted in the second round, that automatically tells you that teams feel like, yeah, you're okay, but I don't know if you're a franchise quarterback or not. It remains to be seen. Now, you have some guys who were drafted in the second round end up being franchise quarterbacks. Of course, the great Drew Brees, Andy Dalton. I mean, yeah, but Jalen Hurts was never looked at as a guy that was going to move the needle or be a franchise quarterback. The fact that this dude was up for MVP last season, and now all of a sudden everybody's talking about this dude is overrated. Overrated with what? If this guy was up for league MVP, if he was up for league MVP coming out in the second round with all of the question marks he came into the league, how in the world can he be overrated? Because he already exceeded expectations. So now he comes into the league with no expectations. He makes you have expectations for him, and now he's overrated? That makes absolutely no sense to me. That's asinine. But I digress, man. I digress. But yeah, I look, I think that the guy deserves to some credit here, especially like since people were talking about it. And if they don't remember, I can pull up some of them receipts of them talking about how this dude was never gonna be nothing. And now this man up here getting paid top quarterback money. Yes, I just feel like the offense that they was calling in Philly wasn't a good fit for him. And Shane Steichen moving on to Indianapolis played a huge role in maybe the regression of Jalen Hurts. And on top of that, he dealt with an injury that most of the season, which a lot of people don't know about. Let's see, what are your thoughts on how both in the NBA All-Star and NFL Pro Bowls don't play for fear of injury? Well, to me, I just think that they need to cancel the whole thing. Yes, I said it. I feel like they need to cancel the whole thing. It's a joke. I don't watch it. I don't watch the All-Star game. I don't watch the Pro Bowl because it's an absolute joke. I get it. Seeing all of the famous football and basketball stars together is a great thing. Like it's cool, as a fan. But It's a joke at the end of the day. Like, to me, it's almost like you basically grifting. Like, no, you're not going to really see any like physicality or anything like that. Not these dudes playing flag football. Like, I'd rather you just basically say Pro Bowl, right? And kind of like an all pro. Like, there's no all pro game, right? It's the Pro Bowl. So basically just give them, the Pro Bowl vote and nothing comes of it. Like, it's just that simple, because it's just a waste of time, man. Like, it is a waste of freaking time. Yes, I said it. It is a waste of freaking time. And nobody really cares about it. Nobody wants to see these dudes play dodgeball. Nobody cares about them throwing balls at target. Nobody cares about them playing any flag football. Like, it's a joke. So I'd rather them just get a Pro Bowl vote. If you have a really good season, you're a Pro Bowler, add it to your resume and keep it moving. And as far as the All-Star game is concerned, even with the All-Star game, like, when you're playing basketball, it's a little bit different, right? Yeah, maybe guys aren't going as hard, but you still got to kind of guard your man. With football, if you don't have any type of contact or lack of contact, it just takes away from the game, right? In the NBA, guys stopped playing defense probably like 10, 15 years ago. So, but you still guard and you can kind of, reenact it, even if you're not trying very hard. But I just think when it comes to the Pro Bowl, they need to go ahead and get rid of that. The All-Star game, it still has a chance, but I think that maybe you need to put a little bit more of a stipulation on it, how they do it in Major League Baseball. If the American League win, like they get the home field, National League win, vice versa. Like, there's something on the line. There's something at stake. With the NBA, it just, man, they just out there, right? They just out there just playing and being bosom buddies. And the NFL, I mean, they just basically just, I don't know what the heck going on. That's just a joke. I'm sorry. TJ, these new people need to learn about and know the rules. No profanity allowed here. Yeah, I mean, no profanity. Like, we keep it clean here, folks. Yeah, hell or damn every now and then. But, if you using S words and F words, like, we don't need that up in here, man. And I get it. So I understand how other people podcast roll, and I'm not knocking that. That's their cup of tea, and they're probably really successful at doing it. But I rather, like, us have a clean environment. I got nieces and nephews that watch this show, like they're 8 and 9 years old. I like the fact that they can actually check out their Uncle Timmy, and they know they ain't about to hear nothing too crazy, right? So just try to keep it as PG as possible, man, just to have a good time. And look, I'm all for people expressing themselves. And I know during a season when the Saints are dealing with losses or things that could be really frustrating, like a key injury, but we all are smart individuals, and we know how to present ourselves in a way that's classy, right? We know how to get our point across without having to resort to profanity. So I'm just asking everybody to do that. I understand, once again, some other people roll. I get it, and I know people like, man, what's the big deal? But I'm just saying, out of respect. All right. So, but thank you for being here. TJ, would you draft another corner or see what you got in Yadam and Lonnie? I like what I seen in Yadam and Lonnie Johnson Jr. I mean, he was playing really well until he went down. So I think you got something there. I think the Saints made some really good, smart decisions with that. So I think you're okay with what you got, to be honest. The NFL is like the WWF or the WWE because they rather build long-term legacies than build up small markets. They will throw a dog a bone here and there. Yeah, I agree with that. They do put a lot of emphasis on more the nostalgic teams, like the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Commanders and the Giants. I mean, but those were the needle movers, and they do have a strong fan base. Like, I live out here in South Carolina, and you have Dallas Cowboy fans out here. Like, you got Pittsburgh Steelers fans out here. So yeah, you're going to cater to the market that's going to generate you the most money. That's the reason why you hear those talking heads on ESPN, Fox Sports 1. They mostly focusing on the teams in the Northeast that have a reputation for winning or a strong fan base, because they know those are the players that people want to talk about mostly, and that's the team that people mostly want to hear about. So, look, I get it, man. Look, it does get a little nauseating hearing about the Dallas Cowboys, who just no matter what the record is, they just underachieve and they just continue to lead off every single sports show. I get it. But at the same time, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about your restaurant. If your restaurant is known for making ribs and the rib is really good and people are lining up to eat the ribs, why would you shy away from that and make fried pork chops the marquee meal? Why would you do that? You wouldn't, right? And, you'll probably add the fried pork chops on there, but you're not going to make it the main event here. And because of these strong fan bases, because, of these Nielsen ratings, and trust me, folks, I know a lot about this because as a radio personality, we have every quarter we go through the Nielsen ratings and we kind of evaluate certain things at certain times. What was I talking about at 3 p.m.? What was I talking about at 11 a.m. this morning? Right? What was the difference between last quarter and this quarter? And they do that. And you have some really like nerdy guys who go over analytics, the boring stuff that we don't care about. But analytics matter, man, when it comes to the bottom line. We all know that, man, they don't mess with their money, right? These big companies, they do not mess with their money. So that's the reason why. Like, it's nauseating, it's frustrating as a Saints fan, a fan of a small market team. I know how frustrating that can actually be, but they're going to continue to push those larger market teams because they have a larger fan base. We may not want to hear it, but that's just a fact, folks. They're going to continue to push that, regardless if they win or not. They're always going to have the Dallas Cowboys. So if they lose and going through a hard time, they can pan up into the luxury box and see Jerry Jones scowling or looking frustrated or whatever like that. That's what they're going to do because they feel like that's high drama. They feel like that's good television. So there we go. You ain't lying, TJ. I don't even watch any of the All-Star festivities. Now I don't watch them either. I'm a fan of the players, but I'm not a fan of the events. I'm just not. I'm just not a fan of it. And I'm pretty sure it's probably great for them. You're rich, you're successful, you're around your homeboys, and y'all like some of the best of the best, the creme de la creme. Like, I get it, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. TJ, remember how the Pro Bowl was when Sean Taylor played? Yeah, I mean, he probably the reason why they changed the rules. Yeah, I mean, when he completely like destroyed that punter. Like, so yeah, but yeah, I get it, man. Guys are like, man, I'm only getting paid, I don't know, $25,000 to $50,000 to play in this Pro Bowl game. It's not really worth it. I'm in a contract year. I get all that. But at the same time, if you're thinking about all that, you might as well just go ahead and scrap it. Just go ahead and rip it up, throw it in the trash. Like if you're doing all that considerating and you can't go, excuse my French, balls to the wall, why waste your time? Like, why waste fans' time? Like, I can do without the Pro Bowl. I can. Like, I can't remember the last time I watched the Pro Bowl. I don't even watch Pro Bowl highlights. I don't. I don't watch any of that stuff. Like, I can't tell you. Like, I'm serious. I couldn't tell you one. I can tell you who did what. Because I don't care. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that probably feel the same way. And maybe it's blasphemous for me to say this, but I ain't sugarcoating. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time and it's a joke. And those guys, they could be doing something better with their time. Like taking a vacation. I don't know, going some exotic place, being able to like kind of decompress from the season. Rather you had a good season or a bad season. That's time you can be spending with your family or rehabbing or getting better. Like, that's a waste of time. Yadam burnt toast, TJ. I don't know about that, man. Isaac Yadam had a really good season. I have to disagree with you on that one, Derek. I have to disagree with you. That man is he was pretty damn good this season. Like, so good that I wouldn't surprise me if somebody pay him a couple years to be their starting cornerback type season. They can do away with the slam dunk contest too. Well, I feel like this. The slam dunk contest to me is one of those things where we've seen everything under the sun. So it's kind of hard for us to kind of get into it. And you had so many great dunkers of the past that made extraordinary dunks look ordinary. So now if guys replicate that, it's like, man, I seen that before, right? That's why I feel like that's why the dunk contest suffers. And also, this is a strong statement right here, and this cannot be overemphasized or underemphasized. They ain't got no stars in it. They ain't got no stars. Like, I mean, back in the day, you had Dominique Wilkins, you had Michael Jordan off in that thing, you had J.R. Ryder. Like, these guys were like leading scorers on their team. Like, now you got, man, I can't even think of dude's name. He won back-to-back slam dunk contests. The white guy out of Georgetown, right? This dude plays no minutes, right? And he basically gets activated just to be in a slam dunk contest. Like, nobody know what this dude is. Like, I mean, he out there yamming it, head over the rim, but nobody know what this dude is. He'll probably be the talk for the weekend, and then all of a sudden nobody knows who he is until he resurfaces again and, get that little slam dunk check. Nobody cares. Like, nobody was checking for mostly anybody in there. Well, Herb Jones was in there, I think. Like, yeah, I guess if you like, Herb Jones fan, for the Pelicans, I mean, I guess. But nobody know these dudes. Nobody checking for these dudes. Like, if LeBron was in it, if Ja Morant was in it, if Zion Williamson was in it, people would care. But I already know what it's like. It's these agents. It's these agents and these people talking in their head, man, what if you lose, man? It might be a shot to your reputation. Look, man, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares at the end of the day. Like, if you win, you win. You lose, you lose. I think Jordan was like, man, if Dominique beat me, I would look bad. So he was right back there the next year. Man, I'm beat Dominique. I hope he well rested. I hope he ready to dunk. But these guys now, man, it's the fragile ego to me. I feel like that's the reason why you ain't seeing stars in the All-Star in this All-Star slam dunk contest. You're starting to see stars in a 3-point contest, right? But you ain't seeing it in a slam dunk contest because honestly, I just feel like the ego is fragile. And these guys don't want to lose. And honestly, I have to say this. Some of us are responsible for this because we put too much emphasis on guys losing. Like, oh, man, he'll lose, man. He took an L, man. He'll loser, man. Man, he suck, man. This, that, and the third. Like, it's our fault. Now guys are afraid to go out there to challenge themselves when they don't have to because they're scared of social media going in on them for losing. We see this all the time, man. So congratulations. We play a huge role in this, and these players not willing to compete against each other because of the fear of losing is another reason. So, yeah, that's the reason I feel like there's no slam dunk contest on the State of the Saints podcast. TJ got us on deck. Test them if you want to. Them receipts. Thank you very much for the $2. Says, I'll watch if Zion was in it. Yeah, and you'll watch if LeBron was in it. You'll watch if Kawhi was in it. You'll watch if Ja Morant was in it. Like, you want recognizable stars. Like, you want people that you recognize. Not some guy that just got activated out of the D-League just to play in a slam dunk contest. And honestly, I feel like if you want to keep a slam dunk contest, like, get professional dunkers or something like that. Guys that ain't got no dog in the fight. But at the same time, you still will have to spend months trying to, like, get these guys, like, people actually interested in caring about what these guys do. People want to see stars do this thing, but you ain't about to see that. T-Mac versus Vince Carter was best head-to-head in the dunk contest. MJ dunk from the free throw line was the most iconic dunk. Derek, yeah, I mean, and then you had Steve Francis too. Steve Francis was in that slam dunk contest with Vince Carter and T-Mac. Yeah, I mean, but, man, that's the last time somebody, like, you really looked at it and it was like, man, they got some stars off in this thing. Now, like I said, these guys are afraid to lose because, they got all these managers and agents and stuff and talking about their reputation and all that. But, man, at the end of the day, who cares? Like, I don't care. It's like when I watch boxing. Like, I watched Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. And Terrence Crawford beat the brakes off Errol Spence. But that don't mean I don't want to see Errol Spence fight next time he fight. It just happens, right? Guys lose. But I call it the Floyd Mayweather I call it the Floyd Mayweather treatment, right? Everybody looks at Floyd Mayweather as great because he never lost. He never lost anything. And that's how everybody looks and presents boxing or presents basketball now. Like, if you lose, you're a loser. Always going to be a loser. Never going to win nothing, right? I should stop caring about you because you lost. Like, nobody understands the success story or the resurgence, or nobody respects the grind. Like, if you lose, you're going to forever be known as a loser. If you make a mistake, you always going to be known for making said mistake. Like, you still got people right now to this day talking about Marcus Williams and missing that tackle on Stephon Diggs. And this man can never shake that, even though he has been one of the best safeties in football. Pinned in the last couple of years, he dealt with some injuries, but he was one of the best. And he was able to, come back and play really well after that. But everybody just remembers 2017. Like I say, a lot of what these players, these decisions that they make, is because of how we as onlookers, perceive certain situations. Like, you think about what, Joe Louis, right? Joe Louis fought Rocky Marciano and lost. I want to say twice. But Joe Louis can go to Detroit, Michigan, and basically walk down the street. That's all right, champ. You'll get him next time. Don't have to buy nothing for the rest of, as long as he's in the city of Detroit. Nobody cares that he lost to Rocky Marciano. Nobody cares that he lost the world championship. But like I said, the world that we live in now is like we only care about people winning. We follow people that win. When they lose, we just stop caring about the road. So I think if we change the way that we think when it comes to wins and losses, you'll probably see more guys committing to doing certain things. That's just my humble opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. TJ, in your opinion, why does Alleviate get much? Doesn't get yards after catch? Consider he's as fast as Shaheed. Probably because of the plays that they call, man. Like, you got to call plays that allow him to be able to get separation. Like that. That's the way I feel about it. So I think that, if you take some players out of the vicinity, maybe you'll be able to see him get more yards after the catch. I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. But a lot of the plays that they call, there's a lot of congestion going on. Like, how many times have we seen like footage of guys running in the same area? Like, we know what it is, right? So, yeah, you're probably, maybe they'll be able to change some things up, and maybe you'll start seeing more yards after the catch. Olave just got to put more effort into getting yak. All it is. I think it's the play calling, to be honest. Aaron Gordon got robbed twice, and judges play a part of the dunk contest being entertaining. Yeah, like I said, guys, egos, right? I feel like I should have won. I feel like they gave him too many chances to do a dunk again. I think they only gave him the win because he's shorter, and it makes the dunk look more appealing. Like, all these different things. It's the ego. The ego plays a huge role in these guys not committing to some of these things. Because once again, if I lose, then everybody gonna think I'm a loser. Oh, like everybody, like, it's one thing to everybody to to think about, or like just recreate it in their minds. Like, man, if LeBron was in the slam dunk, I guarantee he'll tear it down. He'll tear it up, right? But if he goes out there and don't look the part, then it removes that expectation. So, thinking about one thing, but actually seeing it play out in real life, is another. And those guys, they're okay with being a slam dunk winner in your mind. So I think that's the main reason. I think ego plays a huge role, and I think people's opinions about what happens when guys lose also plays a huge role. Also, the coaches need to run more screens to get him the ball in space and get yak. I agree with that. I think they need to change some of the offensive play schemes, and I think you'll see more lanes for him to be able to get yards after the catch. Yeah, Olave has no balance, catch the ball and falls. Well, look, I tell you what. If they calling up plays and basically you catch the ball and you know for a fact somebody about to take your head off because of how the play is designed. I mean, I get down too. Look, I'm not trying to be Bam Morris or Marion Barber or like none of these other cats. Like, I want to live to fight another day. You got to look at some of the plays that is being called now, and look at some of the passing lanes and some of the areas. Like, come on, man. Like, how many play? Like, for example, for the exception of Rashid Shaheed just completely running past somebody. How many plays have you seen from the New Orleans Saints that you seen yards after the catch? Like, just think about that, folks. I know we like to say, man, this happen, this should. How many plays have we seen that you like went back and watched the all 22, right? You watched and you seen like, man, if they would have threw that boy in stride, he would have been gone. None of them plays. The only play that I seen where you have guys that have separation is when they have Rashid Shaheed running streak routes down the field. When he just so fast, he just pum past the corner, pum past the safety. I don't see it. And I'm just wondering, what do you all see? What do you all see that you feel like, oh, when he just don't want to get yards after the catch? What have you seen? I'm serious, man. Like, go back and watch some of the catches that Chris Olave had. I'm pretty sure somebody had some time and they put together all his catches throughout the 2023 season. Somebody, please tell me, when have you seen like wide receivers, tight ends, like getting the ball and room to be able to make somebody miss or room to like stretch it? I ain't seen it. Like, how many touchdowns have you seen? Man, bro, I used to see plays with Marcus coasting, like, God bless him, one of the greatest, if not the greatest wide receiver in Saints history. Slow as he is, he getting the ball and running 50 yards because he got nothing but space and opportunity. All I'm saying is I ain't seeing that much. And all I'm also saying is, folks, if we're going to concede that Pete Carmichael ain't it, we got to look at it and give these guys a mulligan. Like, we have to. We got to give these dudes mulligans because we know that Pete Carmichael wasn't cooking it up consistently. I'm just asking somebody, when have you seen like plays where you like, man, them boys getting that yak? I don't see it. I don't see it. Like, I don't see the yak. I do not see yards after the catch consistently with this team. I see, I see Derek Carr. If a guy like in a soft spot, a soft spot, throwing the ball, catch the ball, maybe get a yard or two or fall down to the ground. That's all I see. I do not see a bunch of like yards after the catch opportunities. And I think it has a lot to do with the plays. Lynn Bowden is Debo Samuel type player. Just get him the ball. Now Olave good. He's not that small. I think I think he gained a lot of muscle. Like, from year 1 to year 2, like, he looks more like an NFL wide receiver now than he did in the first year. I'll give him that. Not much yards at the catch because it's all play calling and quarterback play. I'm telling you, go back and take a look. Honestly, I don't even want to blame Carr for this. Like, I don't even want to blame Carr. Like, a lot of the passes that he's throwing is because like he's finding soft spots in the defense. Like, these plays and these these routes that they running basically are just finding soft spots in the zone here, right? I mean, it's kind of hard, like, to see plays where guys are just getting yak after yak and opportunity to get yak. Most of the time when I see yards after the catch is probably because a wide receiver got behind a defender. Let's see. TJ, in your opinion, how good was Arian Foster, Fred Taylor, and Clint Portis? I think they all were good. I think they were all underrated running backs. Arian Foster, I think that he would have had a much better career if he didn't, wasn't hurt most of the time. Anytime he played, I mean, he was a threat. Fred Taylor, I think that, he was really good, especially when he was with Jacksonville. I think that he was really underrated. Clinton Portis definitely was underrated. Played really well for every team that he was a part of, especially with the Broncos and the then Redskins. I think they all were good. But out of the three, I think Fred Taylor was better. Aaron Foster was probably the most smoothest runner out of all of them. Like he was running like you didn't think that Aaron Foster was as fast as he was until you just seen him start like getting separation. But he was talented, man. He just couldn't stay healthy. No, TJ Alleviate can't stay on his feet, honestly, and I think highly of him, but he falls every time. I don't know if he falls every. Man, I'm telling you, it's one thing watching that stuff on TV, Derek. Like seriously, like like a lot of the passes that they call it, man. Like you got a safety or a linebacker kind of making a beeline on you. Like man, you got to get down on the ground. Like you got to, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just it. I think that you'll probably see more out of him if they gave him opportunities to be able to make somebody miss or run past somebody. Like if you go look at his Ohio State days, he wasn't just blowing past people. Like he was running Chris routes. And he was able to get separation because of the ways that the offense was designed. So I don't just think that you just lose that. I think that a lot of what you see is because of the play design. I'm not gonna sit up here and criticize the guy. Like the only reason I'm gonna criticize you is like I feel like you quitting on plays. When at the beginning of the season, like I felt like he was quitting. I don't know if it was because this was one of those situations where a guy his entire life, you've been told you were great, you were the best most of the time at every stage, and all of a sudden, like you were meeting some level of adversity and you don't know how to deal with it. I was very critical of him quitting on plays. You know what I'm saying? And being frustrated and pouting on the bench. I wasn't no fan of that. But I will never say that this dude isn't talented. And I feel like just like any other NFL player, you need coaches to be able to see your greatness and be able to scheme up to show everybody how great you are. And a lot of what they were doing for him, it just wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't a good fit. Like you're making him Michael Thomas. You're basically making him Michael Thomas. Like Michael Thomas wasn't really, running past anybody. Like if you think about it, most of the time, Michael Thomas, he'll get the ball because he's strong. He'll probably break a tackle or two and maybe turn, 15-yard, completion into like a 20-yard gain. You know what I'm saying? Like because he'll get 5 more extra yards here. But he's just not that guy. Like I think that way that the Saints kind of designed and cooked things up for Olave wasn't really beneficial to him. I think that you can really see him spread his wings with some better play call. Like the fact that he got over 1,000 yards running that type of offense, that wasn't really, to me, catering to his strengths. It was more so like a means to an end. I think that you can get a lot out of him if you have an offensive coordinator that's going to take some time to really see what he's good at. Go look at some of his film from his first few seasons and at Ohio State to help this guy get better. That's just me. That's just the way I feel about it. I think that Olave is like really, really good. I think he like with the right coordinator, I think he can be like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Like he's that good to me. My biggest issue for him was, him being able to catch those contested catches, but he seemed to gotten better with that. It's good to fall. Tyler Lockett extended his career falling. Let's see. I kind of compared him to Tyler. Yeah, Tyler Lockett, man. Tyler Lockett is one of my favorite receivers. Like he's probably one of them the most underrated receivers in the NFL. Like all he does is just catch clutch catches and make plays. And I got nothing but respect for him. He's a guy nobody really talks about, but man, he's really good. Some guy we need to put pressure on the defense for sure. Threaten them with Kamara over the middle and Shaheed all over the field. Yeah, I think you're gonna see Shaheed really open up and live up to that potential. I don't feel like I feel like it was too much catering going on because how he fell on the depth chart. And you can talk about Sean Payton all day, all night, but there's no way in the world that Sean Payton would have had a talent like Rashid Shaheed and only had given him the ball 2 to 3 times a game. No way. No freaking way. Like if Sean would have seen that man cooking up like that, you'll probably have Shaheed as a 1,000-yard receiver. But it was too much catering going on. Oh, Chris Olave is our first round draft pick, so let's focus more on him. Michael Thomas, he was our guy. He was our former number one. Let's focus on him. Then you got Juwan Johnson and Taysom. Like, every time Shaheed touches the ball, something special happens more times than not. And you got to be an absolute fool to not want to utilize a guy that when the first time he touched a ball in the NFL, he scored a touchdown. And it's like, if you look at Shaheed, like, he rarely makes mistakes. Like, when have you ever just said about Shaheed, and it's probably rare that you ever just seen, like, dang, I can't believe Shaheed dropped this pass. Oh, I can't believe Shaheed. Like, every time this guy touched the ball, for the most part, something special happened. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to utilize a guy like that. Like, I would be trying to cook up something like, man, you know what, man, every time this dude touches the ball is magical. So let me try to do something that kind of caters to his strengths and make him a part of this offense. But I just feel like that passive-aggressive behavior of the New Orleans Saints coaching staff over the last couple of seasons, caring about people's feelings and all that kind of stuff, like, that's not going to win you football games. Sometimes you got to have tough conversations, and sometimes you got to move some pieces around for you to get where you need to be. And you need that coach, that coordinator to be able to have those tough conversations, that's going to be willing to be like, you know what? Hey, man, I understand. You know, this might make somebody feel some type of way, but we trying to win here. If you don't have that, then I don't know what to tell you. I'll take a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Says Shaheed is a sleeping monster on the field. I agree with that. And hopefully they be able to wake that monster up, man. Man, Shaheed, man, that one hand catch in the back of the end zone, but was out of bounds. Yeah, I mean, even with that, I mean, the pass that was thrown to him, like, you know, better ball probably would have. I mean, like I said, you rarely ever see this dude make mistakes. You rarely ever see this dude make mistakes. Mike ain't a burner, but one thing he is an elite route runner. So you can be faster doesn't mean you can check me. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Like, he has a combination of strength and route running ability that's made a career. And honestly, like, if he didn't have these injuries, man, I mean, Michael Thomas we'll be talking about this man being in the Hall of Fame right now. Like, it's unfortunate what happened in his career. But that's my final thought of this evening. I got to talk about, folks, and we'll get up out of here. Noah's we've been on this about an hour and 30, but yeah, I want to talk about Michael Thomas, because obviously Michael Thomas has been in a lot of conversations. You know, of course, we know about the whole social media tangent that he was on the game where the Chiefs were playing in the playoffs, and you know, he was talking about, you know, Patrick Mahomes and taking care of wide receivers. And of course, he took shots at Derek Carr, and Derek Carr responded. And you know, it's pretty obvious and pretty clear that Michael Thomas and the Saints relationship is kind of drawing to his end. And you know, some people are looking at the Saints possibly trading Michael Thomas, and you know, but of course, we know the Saints are $81 million over the cap. If the Saints were to trade Michael Thomas before June 1, he will have like $18 million in dead cap space for the New Orleans Saints, a dead cap money. So more than likely he'll stay on this team until then. But this is a guy to me that just checked out. Like, he understands where the Saints are. He doesn't care. It just seemed like the bridge has been burned. Maybe he feels like the Saints paid too much attention to Derek Carr, which some Saints fans may feel. But I also feel like it's a combination of Michael Thomas being a little bit bitter and upset at the way his career is going. And I mean, it's fair, right? You are on a Hall of Fame trajectory. You were always a player of the year, the wide receiver position, something that hasn't been done or wasn't done before you did it since Jerry Rice in the 90s. And then all of a sudden, you know, like, you go from that to having to deal with surgeries and, you know, having screws in your ankle and all these different other underlying problems that you had. And, you know, and you're wondering to yourself, are you ever going to get back on the field? And then when you get back out there, it's another setback. So I understand how you may feel about it. But At the end of the day, I just think that it's time to move on. I think that both parties need a separation. I think that Michael Thomas needs a change of scenery. I think that the Saints just need to move on from Michael Thomas. And I like Michael Thomas a lot, but we gotta say it, man. The best ability is availability. And regardless to who you feel fault it is, you're not playing. You haven't played in a while, man. And right now, this team cannot afford to just be having guys making multi-million dollars on the sidelines. I mean, it's a hurtful thing, but it's just a reality. I mean, you can. I'm appreciative for everything Michael Thomas did in the Saints uniform. Like I'm appreciative of everything that he's done. I think that Michael Thomas, even though he had a few few bad years due to injury, I still feel like he's the second greatest wide receiver the Saints have ever had. And if he probably would have had a 1 or 2 more seasons, he would have been the greatest wide receiver the Saints ever had. But I just think this guy needs a change of scenery. I think he wants to go somewhere maybe that has better quarterback play than what the Saints are offering right now. I think he feels like he can be an integral part of a team's offense. But I will say this, I don't feel like any team is going to make Michael Thomas, well, you're going to be about 31 at the beginning of the season, going to make a 31-year-old wide receiver with several injuries and missing so much time over the last few years. They're not going to make you their number one receiver. Like you are always going to be, from now on, a supporting guy. Now, there can be times where if you get yourself together, get yourself straight, stay on the field, if one of your number one guys go down, you can step in and turn back the clock and make people remember you. But I don't feel like anybody is going to fully commit to Michael Thomas the way the Saints did early in his career. I also feel like if the Saints were to trade him, you're probably going to get maybe a 5th or a 6th round pick for him. But for me, if the Saints were to trade him and get like a 5th or a 6th round pick, if Michael Thomas stays healthy, then that will be a great return on investment for whatever team he goes to. Like we all know that Michael Thomas' ability and his skill set isn't the issue. It's the fact that he hasn't played in 3 seasons. He hasn't played consistently. So I just think that it's just time to move on. I'm not mad or bitter about Michael Thomas. I don't even feel like, he wasn't well within his rights to say what he feels, because you had some guys in the locker room that were expressing their frustrations about the play calling. We've seen a tweet about Lante Taylor saying, "Man, now we can get these boys cooking." He's talking about the offense. Heard Cam Jordan's article and talking about getting the right people into the locker room, right? We heard Alvin Kamara not really be objective to Michael Thomas' statements the first time he was on social media talking when the Saints played Minnesota. So to say that it's just all Michael Thomas and there's nobody else, you have teammates of Michael Thomas that aren't really, accusing him or really criticizing his statements. So to me, I just think that you have to say that they can kind of condone and they feel like he's probably saying some things that they feel too. But all in all, this he, like, to me, he's saying these things. They may have some truth and some validity behind it, but I think he's really saying it because this is a guy that doesn't like where he's at right now. He doesn't like where he's at. I think he feels like he has something to offer, and it's unfortunate that he's had these injuries. But I don't see the Saints trading him before June 1. I'll be shocked if they did. But we'll see. I don't feel like he's going to come back regardless. I don't feel like he'll be back with the New Orleans Saints. I think that he's probably going to have a change of scenery, more than likely. So there you go. Coming off knee injuries too, Mike T is a third option on an elite team at best. I think that you probably putting him in that position, but if he can stay healthy enough, like, I think he can still have something to offer. I still feel like, at times, if he stays healthy enough, he can look like a number one receiver. Like Michael Thomas was having a solid season before, he got injured. Like he wasn't out there getting 100 yards, but that was because he wasn't getting the majority of the targets like he did when Drew Brees was here and he was the number one receiver. So he still was consistent. You know, it wasn't like, oh man, like where the heck is he? Most of the time, you know, he could have got the ball. They just didn't throw it to him. Bowers will be there when the Saints pick and they won't pass up on him. Well, I mean, going after Brock Bowers in the first round, like that kind of, to me, that would kind of be a luxury pick. I think you have bigger fish to fry. I like Brock Bowers and I think he's talented, but I don't think the Saints need Brock Bowers over Tyler Guyton. If you have a choice between getting Tyler Guyton and Brock Bowers, I'm sorry, I like Brock Bowers, but I'm going with Tyler Guyton. You need a left tackle. It is time, folks. It is time. Like I'm James Hurst, Trevor Penning, Andrus Pete. Like you need to solidify that position. I'll be okay if Mike T as a third option as a slot monster. Yeah, but I think that ship is sailed, man. I think that the days of us trying to make Michael Thomas work in the Saints offense are kind of passe. I mean, I think that bridge is burned and a lot of things were said that I think guys can like fully get over. They can say it and for, be, for PC reasons, and PR reasons. They'll probably say, oh, you know what? I forgive him, man. He was just upset, but behind closed doors, man, no love lost. No love lost. Like, I think it's time. I hope we can keep my boy Marshawn Lattimore. Yeah, now I feel like that would be a mistake. And honestly, I feel like if they were to trade Marshawn Lattimore, it's just because they're trying to cater to Dennis Allen. And to me, Dennis Allen ain't got enough skins on the wall for nobody to be standing. Like, that would be a huge mistake to get rid of a guy, to me, who is the greatest cornerback in Saints history. Like, I'm saying that. I understand people like, man, Waymer, and look, Marshawn Lattimore is the greatest cornerback the Saints have ever had. I'll argue with your mama. I know they had Jabari Greer and Tracy Porter and all the great things they did. I ain't never seen consistently no cornerback for the New Orleans Saints. I've been alive for 37 years. I have never seen a cornerback for the New Orleans Saints that consistently lock down some of the best wide receivers in football and make them look like mere mortals. I have never seen a defense look so much better when one guy is on the field because he can the best wide receiver. I don't care what anybody says. But back to my statement. If they were to trade Marshawn Lattimore, it would be because they're catering to Dennis Allen. And the issues that happened between Lattimore and Dennis Allen, I feel like that, they just want to make Dennis Allen happy. We support you, Dennis. And that would be the biggest mistake ever because you do not know if this guy, I'm talking Dennis Allen, has what it takes to be a head coach in the National Football League. But you damn sure know that Marshawn Lattimore has what it takes to be the best cornerback in all of football. To me, that is like you trading Steve Young because Alvis Gervak is on your football team. And maybe Steve Young says something to Alvis Gervak. Now, some of y'all probably don't know who the hell I'm talking about, but some of you OGs know what I'm talking about. Alvis Gervak. He was the guy that when Steve McNair, when Trent Dilfer ended up, the Baltimore Ravens won a Super Bowl and they end up replacing Trent Dilfer with Alvis Gervak, right? Not very good. But it's like you basically are trading, Steve Young for Alvis Gervak, a middle of the pack, middle of the road quarterback, because Steve Young said something about Alvis Gervak. Makes absolutely no sense. So if this thing don't pan out with Dennis Allen, right, and he gets fired, and I like what I see out of Debo, I like what I see out of Yadam, but the next coach would have a much easier job knowing that he has a cornerback that can neutralize any side of the field that he's on. He'll make his life a lot better than somebody messing around with Dennis Allen, where we don't know who is going to be the head coach or not when 2025 hit. So that would be a huge mistake. It would be a huge mistake, in my opinion. Hey, I don't look at the books. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know how bad it's gotten. But to me, that would be one of the biggest mistakes. This would be like the Saints not paying Trey Hendrickson type mistake, in my opinion. Like, as much as I like Paulson Adebo is not better than Marshawn Lattimore. He is not. And he had a really good season. There's a lot of promise there. Who's to say in a couple of years he won't be? But as of right now, you have an opportunity to have two guys that can neutralize the left side and the right side of the field. Why in the world would you want to give that up for a guy who is on a hot seat or should be on a hot seat and has not proven that he has what it takes to coach a winner? So if you're doing that, then you trapping backwards here. You trapping backwards. It says, can't trade Lattimore, in my opinion. Taylor ain't ready to start game after game. Yeah, I mean, that look, I like Alante too, but ain't moving a needle like Laddie Daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't. Like I like Alante. I think that he's made of the right stuff. I think that he has really good leadership qualities. I think he's a good cornerback. And I think that he embraced this playing a slot corner, the best way he knew how. And yeah, he won some battles. He lost some battles, but I like it. But you ain't messing with Lattimore. Like that would be a huge mistake in my opinion. Like what Martin said, like you don't go out for hot dogs when you got steakums at home. Like you don't go and trade away a top cornerback because you're trying to like save your head coach face who hasn't done anything for his face to be saved. Right? Besides the fact that Mickey Loomis just likes him. Like, oh, I think I believe in him. Well, now people don't believe in him. And if you mess around and trade away Marshawn Lattimore and you fire Dennis Allen, and then Marshawn Lattimore goes on to be an all-pro, just like Trey Hendrickson did when you decided, oh, Trey Hendrickson having his neck injury and his shoulder injury. Oh, he's going to be damn as good. Let him go. And now he's one of the best pass rush in all of football. That's how you're going to look. So do you want to continue to go down this road where you're just looking like you don't know what the hell you're doing? Or you're going to just look at it like, man, we need this dude. Because whatever the Saints are doing in 2024, they'll be much better if they had Lattimore on the marquee. That's all I got to say about that. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you for making the show what it is. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. YouTube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Also, check out the Gumbo Pod Sports podcast on YouTube. The new episodes of Unapologetic Podcast every Thursday. The links are in the description, so you can just click on them. It'll bring you directly to the pages and subscribe. And check them out, man. Tell me what you all think. There's a different approach with the Unapologetic Podcast. Of course, I'm not really talking sports there. And also, the Bleacher Report link is available also. I'm asking everybody to follow my Bleacher Report page. I do a weekly podcast on Bleacher Report. I will be doing one tomorrow live, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 2:30 Central time for some of you. Going to be talking a little bit about Saints football, getting you all ready for the NFL Combine. So please make sure you check that out. Please support everything that I'm doing. Much love to you all that do. For those that are brand new, hopefully we kept you around. Hopefully we kept you entertained. We're a very interactive podcast. Doesn't matter if you donate or not. We try to keep everybody, in the loop, understand and value everybody's opinion. I apologize if I didn't read your comments. That's just a testament to how far the show has grown and how many people that make this show what it is. So shouts out to everybody here. Much love to you. Hope everybody has a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.